And so, gang, let's do some math, because this is... Good morning, boys and girls, my bright-eyed, bushy-tailed second graders. Are you happy? Yes. SWBAT. If I could only banish one thing from the lexicon, it would be never on a whiteboard, never on a slide, never, ever, ever again would you sit there and succumb to students will be able to do. There's no understand, there's no solve, it's simply do. It's perfect, it's skill, it's mindless, right? Students will be able to. I know your teacher evaluation says you have to share the objective with the kids. I agree with that. I believe that the goal of the class has to be shared. We're going to come back and you'll see how I do that in lessons in a few minutes. I do not believe that's the way to do it. Okay, so what are we doing today? Boys and girls, what are we doing today? We are what? Subtracting. Good. What does it mean to subtract? Yeah, to take away. Then we stop right there. One kid calls out take away, and we're happy. There are 9 other things that kids can say, but we don't do any of that stuff. And what kind of numbers are we going to subtract today? That's right. If the shoe fits, wear it. I'm actually being a good instructor. I'm going and actually using my terrible goal to get at subtraction in 2-digit numbers. Well, there you go. Boys and girls, let's do a quick room refresher. We know that when we have to subtract 47 from 95, let's see what this says, so I'm sure I'm doing this right. Oh yes, remember the rules. So come on, gang, if the shoe fits, wear it. Can you take 7 away from 5? What a great way to start. I cannot take 7 away from 5 unless I know negative numbers, and I don't know negative numbers, and I would never even think of that, even though I've got 2 kids that are thinking -2, but I sit there, no, I can't. What do you do? What do? You cross that out, you put the 8 in there, you put the 1 in there, and you know that that is what is happening in the classrooms of most of the people who are not amongst the 1,000 who are participating in this. You know that's the way we were taught. You know that we sit there and go, any questions? There is never a question. And plus, we give kids no wait time, right? So we have any questions? Oh, good. No, how nice. Good. So now I have an 8, and now I have it's 4. Wonderful. Okay? We clear on this? We've done this for 4 weeks? Good. Any questions? Second time I ask? Good. Well, then let's turn to our worksheet. Boys and girls, go. I don't know why you're not laughing. I don't know why you're turning the page when in fact, you should be sitting there going, oh, good. I don't have to think. I don't have to reason. I now have a wonderful opportunity to just practice. You all know that I am modeling the worst of the math instruction that goes on. I am modeling what is so unbelievably typical. I am now looking around the room at the body language. I love seeing who's feeling gored. I love who wants to hold their arms in anger and who's holding their arms back because they know I'll call them out. Yeah, you're all laughing. What's the alternative? Seriously, guy. If I mock this in all these ways, I mean, what's the alternative? And so, let's just examine how typical that is. Let's just recognize how underperforming it is. Let's just recognize that when I give kids a worksheet, right, some proportion of kids learn absolutely nothing because all they do is just mimic a procedure. They're not learning a thing. And you all know that the kids that don't understand it are practicing their mistakes and are feeling stupider and stupider and stupider. Where's the learning that goes on? Watch, think right now about kids doing 9 problems on a worksheet, and you tell me there's any learning going on. You tell me that I ever have to do more than 3 problems before I stop and say, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? Who did it differently? How'd you see it? How'd you see it? Given that discussion, now let's try one more. Let's see. Now how'd you do it? Now how'd you do it? Who did we do it? In other words, that's why it's so boring for so many. It's like, where's the engagement? And the answer is there is no engagement. This is math. It's not supposed to be engaging. It's supposed to be hard and go squeeze your little brains, right? Where's the struggle? What do you mean struggle? I thought we had to have productive struggle. Ain't no struggle in that stuff except for the kids that don't know anything, but it's meaningless struggle, right? Where's the discourse? There ain't no discourse because I'm not going to have kids talk. I just care about answers, right? Where are we giving kids a reason to care? And the answer is we aren't. And so how can we sit there and believe that there is any parity whatsoever between the language arts that we just did and the dinosaur got angry at the bug? Why did you think the dinosaur got angry at the bug? And those little second graders are sitting there going, because the bug was stinging him. And then, the dinosaur ate the bug. And the kids are going, I love school, I love my teacher, I love reading language arts, right? Why do you think the dinosaur ate the bug? Turn and tell your partner why the dinosaur ate the bug. Go on, right now, why the dinosaur ate the bug? I hope that you are absolutely mind-boggled about that. I just read 2 pages from the book. I gave you no background, I gave you no detail, and not a single one of you had any problem going. No, because the bug stung him one time too many. Because the dinosaur didn't realize that the bug was actually a magical bug. But it's okay, it came out the other end. No, I mean, oh, there are no second graders that would say that. No, of course not. But look at the difference between the way in which we teach language arts. Look at the reasoning that we ask kids to do and then compare it to shut up, sit down, and go do more of it. Go do it faster, right? Go get answers, and then we check it. 72, 95, 36, 57, 95. Come on, gang. I think that the thing that I most want to do is I want to hook up kids' brains so you can hear what they are thinking and feeling when they're sitting there and you're reading answers to them. And they're sitting there going, I hate this, I'm so dumb, my teacher hates me, why else would he or she do this to me? Right? And so look at how little of what's taken away. No, look at how much is what's taken away. Here's a Connecticut second graders journal, guys. Right? If I were 100 years old, oh my goodness, if I were 100 years old, I would go to a nursing home. Just like Grandma. I would stay there until I was dead. Just like Grandpa. By the time I was 100, I would know regrouping with subtraction, and then I would die. Tell me, guys, how is it that otherwise warm, fuzzy, nurturing, caring, loving kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade teachers could possibly believe they're doing their job when you know that this chasm between reading language arts is so gigantic? When in fact you know that that's a response that some 5, 6 kids in your class are having, even though they don't share it with you. But you know you can read their body language. This is a complete waste of time unless we understand that it's a tale of 2 approaches. Good morning, boys and girls. I will show you how we subtract. We will then do 2 together in guided practice because that's what my textbook tells me to do. And then I will assign 12 problems for you so I can take a break because this is too hard. We'll sit there and do it, and somehow we call that teaching and learning. Come on, gang, same thing. You know, it's so simple, right? It's so familiar, it's so appealing, and it's so deadly, it's so wrong for so many. And so we come along and say, why don't we invert it? Why don't we recognize that that works so poorly for most kids? If that only works for a select group of kids, and in the process they're not learning anything except a procedure that they forget. Oh, I'll get to it in a second. Okay, cool. So we change it to you. You guys go do it. You guys wrestle with it. And then we'll talk about it. And then I will summarize all that means and what that looks like. In other words, when I reverse it like that, I have this opportunity for struggle. I have this opportunity to explore, to share, to justify, to compare, and to debrief all of the verbs that characterize more effective teaching, more effective learning. And so, alternatively, because this is a complete waste of time if all I do is mock, what does it mean to have clarity of goals, give kids tasks that are meaningful, drive our instruction with our questions and their discourse? What does it mean when we come together and ask each other to struggle? Good morning, my bright-eyed, bushy-tailed second graders. Oh my goodness. You ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
There you go. Today we are going to solve problems involving the subtraction of 2-digit numbers. Awesome. Boys and girls, turn and tell your partner what it means to subtract. Turn and tell your partner what it means to subtract. Pressed. So, help me with this. Did we do subtraction in first grade? Right? We did subtraction in first grade. And we've done some subtraction so far here this year in second grade, right? Good. Ma'am, what does it mean to subtract, Jack? It means what?
Take away.
Yes, exactly. It means to take away. Very nice. Does anyone have a different answer for what it means to subtract? Yes, good. What do you have at this table?
Compare.
To compare. Oh, how nice. To compare in some way. I'm writing, to subtract means to find the difference. I'll be darned. How nice. It means to put together. How nice. Keep going. It means to find the change. Oh my gosh. To find the change. Anyone else? Awesome. Boys and girls, subtract means to find the change. Can you explain what that means? Who said it? Yeah, what does it mean, Cindy?
How much something changed from where it started to where it ended?
Can you give us an example of that?
Well, if I started with 5 cookies and now I have 3, I changed by 2.
Whoa, look at that. If I started with 5, I then have 3, I've lost 2. 2 is the amount of change. How did you get 2? You subtracted 3 from 5. That's really amazing. So the amount of change that's gone on, I subtract to find it. Exactly. Look at that applause, Cindy. Right? But Cindy's one of my gifted students, so she's unapplaused, non-claused by the applause, right? Super. Jackie, you said take away. Right, what does it mean to take away?
It means to start with some and then you take a certain number away.
So give us an example, please.
10 minus 6. You start with 10 and you take 6 away.
10 what?
Pigs.
Nice, of course, on the island. 10 pigs. So boys and girls, can we help Jackie? We subtract when, okay, our 4-H club has raised 10 beautiful pigs. And what do, Jackie? We take 6 to market. That's right. Thank you. I kiss them and I slaughter them. Right? I made you slaughter, Jackie. Look at this. What am I doing, gang? What I'm doing is I'm doing what I do in language arts. I'm playing with the kids. I'm tweaking their brains. I'm understanding that I cannot sit there and do the subtraction with regrouping until we understand what subtraction is. Yes, I'm spending more time on this than I normally would with kids, but I was sitting on the rug and I am using my goal to do the old Madeline Hunter anticipatory set. I am using the goal to establish that we have a collective understanding of this notion of subtraction in these different ways. I purposely put on there what I didn't hear from any one of you, put together. I'm going to say, is there anything that doesn't belong on this list? And the kids are going to say, yeah, I don't think you put together when you subtract. What do you do? When you put together, you add. Oh, so I put together, I join, or I separate, I take away. Let's talk about these words that convey this notion of what's going on. At this point, I might say, hey, wait a second, Jackie. There they are. 10 pigs. What'd you say happened to the pigs?
Sold them.
You sold them, exactly. You notice how she cleans up her act, right? How many did you sell, Jackie?
6.
Is that more than 10 or less than 10?
Yes.
Could you have sold 15?
No.
Why not?
I don't have that.
I'm not sorry, gang, but how hard is it for us to play that kind of stuff with kids? I mean, it isn't hard if we pause and think about that's the discourse that we have to engage the kids in. I mean, this is not rocket science math, but I also pull out a representation. Good, so this is 6, right? These are 6 pigs that are sold. The only thing that you ask kids right now is, what's the question?
How many are
I can't hear you, what's the question?
How many are left?
How many are left? Exactly. How many of you solved that answer and said 6 plus what is 10 and did an addition problem? How many have already played this and knew it was 10 minus 6 is 4 and did it as a subtraction problem? How many just won't raise their hand because you didn't care? How many are still thinking about how you got 4? Oh, neat and so fascinating. And so I've got this today. We're going to solve problems and we talk about 2-digit numbers. And what's a 2-digit number? Can you give me an example? Give me an example of a 2-digit number. Give me an example of a non-2-digit number. Oh my goodness. So today we're going to play, oh my goodness, are you ready? Bingo! Every single time I give kids a stimulus, we're going to play with this all day long. I have got a clarity of my goal. I am about to move into a task that I think sets things up for what I want to do. It is always the question. What's the question? The question always is, turn and tell your partner what you notice. Let's go. Yell it out. What'd you notice? I have more than you. Good, I write that down. What'd you notice?
I almost have $100.
Oh my goodness, I always have 100. That's great. Yeah, what'd you notice? Good day. Go ahead. Oh, we almost had $50. Look at that. Do you understand? Let's keep this going. This is so cool. What'd you guys notice? She noticed. Oh, about twice as much. These are second graders, gang. This is called number sense. This is called before I get to how you get the difference. I am playing out, so I write all these things down. Come on, you do this in reading language arts. You respond to all their answers in those ways. Why don't we always do that in math? Why don't we recognize that the goal is not to do 10 of these problems? The goal is not to race through. How do you get an answer and then have kids go practice? The goal is to wrestle with this problem, wrestle with this data. The fact of the matter is, the thing that we do from our textbooks, Ralph has 83 buttons. His sister has 63 buttons. And we just blow the whole thing out of the water. We sit there and go, how many more buttons does Ralph have than his sister Sarah? Why don't we ask kids, what do you want to know? Why don't we ask, what do you wonder? Right? Good, this side of the room, what do you have else? You notice that?
I have almost half of what you.
She has almost half. Good, you know what? Every bone in your body wants to say, weren't you listening to what they said over here? Why would you say that when this kid obviously wasn't listening? This kid was busy thinking. Right. And she said it a little differently anyway. But I mean, we use sarcasm. We sit there and go, "You're not listening." Of course they weren't listening. We know that, right? And they weren't listening often for good reasons, right? One more. What'd you notice? Oh, nice. They both have amounts of money. Awesome. Boys and girls, so convince me that I have more than you. One kid says 90s are more than 40s. Another kid says one's close to 50, one's close to 100, and one's much more. Another kid says about half. How do you know it's a half? How do you know? And so I play off of all that stuff, and unbelievable, because of what do you notice, all of a sudden, the kids start caring about this particular situation. Good. Turn and tell your partner what the answer is. Oh. Come on, gang, what's the answer? I know this is hard. I know that your first time you do this with kids, they sit there and go, what's the question, you jerk? I don't know what the question is. I know that I've given you the data. Come on, gang, what's the answer? Oh, there they are. Nice. 142. Awesome. 48. Great. 71. 150. 50. You. Me. Give me another answer that's not on my list. Look what I've just done, gang. I've done inferential reasoning. Right? I've sat there and said to you, right, you take the data, and now look at what goes on when I go, you're right. The answer is 142. Turn and tell your partner what the question was. Oh my goodness. The answer is 48. What's the question? Oh, how much richer am I than you? Oh, nice. On your mark. Get set. Oh, there it is. Don't rip, don't rip, don't rip. Oh, perfect. 95 minus 47. At your tables. Convince me the difference is 48. Go. Help me understand just how big a haul we have here, gang. Hold it. How many of you, if I just asked you how much richer am I than you, your brains would have done it this way? Raise your hands. Come on. There's got to be 20 in this room. 25. Thank you very much. We have 400 people in this room, and I have 26. We teach 100% of humanity that the correct way to solve that problem is to sit there and say, can't do it, cross it out, put the thing, stick the one in there, and get 48. And I
Started at 47, I added 3 to get 50, and then I added 40 to get to 90, and then I added 5 more, and I
Can somebody tell me what Melissa just did in their own words? Did you hear what she did? Did you understand it? Good. A representation. What representation did Melissa use? Melissa has great stuff to offer this class. We need to understand. Oh, I know. Melissa's special ed. That's why she went to the number line. And I did it the same way Melissa did it. And Melissa realizes she did it some way some of the other kids did it. Right? And so awesome. I know that a normal person sits there and says, and 3 more is 50, and then 40 more takes me to 90. That's called counting on. That's called using the relationship between addition and subtraction. That's called no one but subtracts and cancels and carries and borrows. A person says, and 3 more is 50, and then 43, 43, and then 5 more is 48. Who did it differently? John, you did it differently. I know that.
I know that if I added 50 to 47, that would get me to 97, and that's 2 more than 95, so I had to come back to the 48.
Who did it John's way? Come on, wait, John's way. Look at that. Almost the same number as did the formal subtraction regrouping approach. That's really cool. Good. Does John's way make sense? He simply sat there and said, hey, I know that 50, I can sit there and the 50 takes me right up there to getting close in that way. I'm looking at my left numbers. I'm looking at the 4 and the 9 and saying 50 more is going to be 97. Oh my goodness. Good. Who did it differently? Come on, gang. How'd you do it, ma'am? First name is? Tanya.
50 minus 2 is 90 minus 40 is 50, 5 minus 7 is negative 2, so 50 minus 2.
You're all sitting there going, ain't no second grader in my class would do that. She started on the left and not the right. I love it. As a normal person, John did the same thing. He started on the left. And you sit there and go, well, that's not really the right way to do it. In which case, no, you ought to be charged as guilty. You ought to be charged as compromising their learning. Stop. Not for 1 second does anyone believe this is easy to do. We are upsetting the apple cart when we tell each other that our job is not to spoon feed. Our job is not to tell kids how. When you see the work that we do this afternoon that Deanne is going to do based upon the Principles to Actions toolkit, and we watch and listen, we see, hear, read transcripts of teachers, every bone in their body wants to tell the kids how. And you see that they don't. And you see what happens. Once again, we need to have opportunities to practice it. We need to get feedback on that. We need to videotape it. We need to have colleagues there and doing it, all that stuff. Awesome. So another way, one more. How'd you do it? Janelle, how did you do this? And don't tell me the way I already heard. Come up with a new one. Janelle, how did you know it was 48?
Okay, so right now, use the number line.
Oh, we got a Melissa number line, or Melissa, Tanya. Melissa did the number line. Janelle.
So this might be the same. So I started at 95. Well,
Wait a second.
I'll do it.
You had Melissa start at 47 and move up. Janelle says, I'm taking away, right? I'm not comparing. So I started at 95. Talk to us, Janelle.
I started at 95 and I took away 40. So I did one big jump and that got me to 55. And then I took away 5 more to get to 50 and 2 ones got me to 48.
So long as it's clear. I know that in 3rd grade, it says something utterly ridiculous in the standards about the standard algorithm. But I also know that you cannot test the standard algorithm. I know that in fact, and you know, that there is no standard algorithm. But what I do know is that before I get to some reliable procedure, I'm in the standards, 2nd grade. One of them, awesome. Now, let's just be clear about how hard our lives are. You understand it in 3rd grade? Who teaches 3rd grade? Right? You got the absolutely lovely, right? The fraction A over B is A replications of 1/8 of the whole. Right? I mean, anyone that says this is a coherent document in terms of the language, it's crazy. Listen to this. Yeah, hey, 2nd graders, right? You're going to add and subtract within 1,000. Oh, this is early in the year because we're only getting to 100. We're going to get to 1,000, right? Oh, interesting. Using concrete models or drawings. Not a single one of you did anything but the number line, but that's a start, right? Models and drawings and strategies based on place value. I've heard 2 of them. Properties of operations. Ooh. Properties of operations is that notion of the order and the associated property and all, and or the relationship between addition and subtraction. And then relate the strategy to a written method and understand that in adding and subtracting numbers, you combine the ones, you combine the tens, and you combine the hundreds. Sometimes there aren't enough, and sometimes there are too many. And that's what it's all about. And so all I'm doing by way of introduction, there it is just trying to give you a sense of the alternative. Oh, cool. Ready? Let's focus on how much richer I am than you. And for those of you who are sitting there, going, where do those other answers come from? Kids said that. Ready? 150. What's the question? About how much we have all together. How nice. Good. 71. What's the answer? What's the question I made? What's the average? Give me it in real terms. You and I shared, exactly right. It's not fair that I'm richer than you. I'm Robin Hood. I believe that, in fact, we need to all have the same amount. So we pool our resources, and then we split them in half. How nice. All of a sudden, average has a new meaning. Right? All of a sudden, average comes out to be this notion. You have a kid that says that in 2nd grade, right? You, what's the question? Who has less? Me. Good, and it's a question of who's me and who's you and all that stuff. Good, let's try another problem, right? In a nutshell, gang, we know what it takes. And so, here we go.